Good morning. How are we today? I hope you guys are good. I am brilliant. And so, of course, it's Sunshine. She's already on the call, and we are all geared and set for another wonderful morning. It's Monday, June, eh? So half the year is gone. You know, I have this theory that they must have tinkered with the space-time continuum, or it just happens when you grow older. I don't know which is which, but whatever the case, time just gallops. You know, I still remember how long a year would take. Like it would be like when you start a year, like gee whiz, you know, like the beginning of a new grade at school, like grade 5, and you're like, you are forever in grade 5, and then you get to grade 6, you are forever in grade 6, and so on and so forth. But today, I mean, just now we're doing, 2025 resolutions gone, just now we're like, Bali was giving his speech, new dawn, the new government is in, gone, just the other day we were winning the Africa Cup, like, what? Where have all the years gone? It's that scary. Like time is galloping, and this is June. And I tell you, this is when you start to appreciate the concept when we say that if, procrastination is the thief of time. It's true. If you are not doing something about your time today, before you know it, time is gone. One of the things I've come to really appreciate about what I've been learning, I'm in neuropsychology right now. I do neuropsychology. I'm a neuropsychology therapist, neuro-linguistic programming coach, cognitive enhancement coach. And one of the things that I've come to appreciate is the concept of mindfulness. Now, some of you may not know what mindfulness is, but mindfulness is the idea of being present, like literally just being present, like taking note of the time you're in and the events around you and appreciating them in a much deeper way than usual. And that means really having an attitude of gratitude, having empathy, having a sense of appreciation for the things you have and how to maximize them, how to maximize every moment that you find yourself in. That's mindfulness. Now, what's interesting is that when I began to practice mindfulness, now I am really, really aware of everything going on. And so even though time is galloping, the plus side is I am so in the moment. Every moment I am so consciously aware of it. I take my time to appreciate those moments. That's what we would say, like pause and smell the flowers, if you know what I mean. When you walk across a beautiful place, instead of just walking past and just say, oh, nice. You just stop there and just take it in. Just sit somewhere and just reflect. I don't know if that comes with age or it's just, I don't know. But I realize that if we learn to be mindful of every moment, we can maximize every opportunity and we will not miss them. That's why one of my favorite statements is that, you need to realize that, in fact, the whole saying actually says that, what does it say? The future is a promissory note. The past is a cashed check. Okay, these things don't exist anymore, but the past is a cash check, the future is a promissory note, and the present is and today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So meaning the present is the chance to be conscious of now and what can we do with our now. So I hope you're one of those that's really taking advantage and doing what you can, because some of the stuff you take for granted will be gone one day and it won't be there anymore. Even our own country, we may have all these complaints we have about our country, but let me tell you, there are so many positive things about this country. You need to go live in some of these other countries. That's when you start to appreciate that we are far better where we are right now than many other nations. So learn to be mindful, learn to appreciate what's around you right now instead of looking at things that are not around you. I mean, of course, if they're nice things, you say, one day we'll get that. One day we'll get that. But what's more important is, what are you doing with what you have right now? So today I am dealing with the topic of bootstrapping. But remember, we do these meetings every day, Monday to Friday. Monday is yours truly. Tuesday is Sunshine Coach Sunshine, Dr. Sylvia Mwansa. who does her Mindset Change program. Wednesdays, we have the Mompreneur platform run by Sampa at the moment. Thursday, we have Dr. Nelly with her, groundbreaking Prosperity for Your Soul. And then Friday is still open to something that'll be coming in the future around health. So today I'm actually starting a series called Bootstrapping, how to scale your business. All right. And for me, I think this is so important that for many of us, we need to be dead serious about it. Now, essentially, there are 4 key phases to bootstrapping your business. We have examined the first 3, which are, what am I talking about examining? We haven't examined. Where am I? I hope I'm not having the wrong title on my thing. So basically, there are 4 phases. These are starting, validating, and optimizing your business. Okay, I've got the wrong title. I don't know what's going on with my thing, so I'm just gonna have to speak off the top of my head. This is easy anyway. I'm so used to this subject. I'll go look at my notes and fix them properly. So let's just go into this part because certainly these notes are wrong. So let's look at this. So you've got 4 phases to starting a business. And what, first of all, is bootstrapping? So bootstrapping is the concept of building a business using available resources. When we say available resources, I am speaking specifically of resources within your reach. So remember the saying, don't count your eggs before they hatch them. So don't plan with money you don't have. And I always say, never borrow to start. Just do not borrow to start a business. Now, I understand that credit is the in thing. In fact, the whole world is operating on credit right now, and it's the system that keeps everything up and creates this sense of wealth. But for a start of a business, I'm telling you, that's quite dangerous. And because of the fact that we have the 1-3-5-7 principle, 1 year to break even, 3 years to become sustainable, 5 years to be profitable, and 7 years to be world class. The fact that this is real, that most times most businesses are not even going to break even on the first year, you really do not want to start your business with borrowed money. So what you want to do is look around you and look at every resource available. Now, when we talk about resources, what are resources? Well, very simply, there's money, the most obvious resource, but there's actually other very powerful resources as well. You've got tools. So every business has some tools that it needs to run with. So you need to ask yourself, what tools do you have? And then thirdly, you have processes, the means by which your product or service comes to be. And then the fourth one is people. You need people because whether those people are directly employed by you or people that you network with or people that are subcontracted or people that are suppliers, you need people. So these 4 things become very critical as resources. So the big question is, what kind of resources do you have? So you have to look at the resources within your reach. So we're not talking about resources out there, imaginary resources, or maybe you go borrow from somewhere. No, keep it to what's around you. So the first thing when we talk about starting the business is, what resources do you have around you to get yourself started? So do you have a phone, for example? Right. So if you have a phone, that's a resource. You could program it or fill it with the right apps that can help make your business happen. But for me, I always say, even before you get to that stage, you really got to ask yourself first and foremost, what kind of business are you going to be doing? Like what product or service do you have? That's why it's start. So what product or service do you have around you that you're going to take out there? And I've been asked many times, sir, I've got 15,000 kwacha. Oh, sir, I've got 70,000 kwacha. What business can I start? And you know, my answer is always the same. Listen, the best business you can start is the business that's tied to what you're good at. It's tied to your purpose. That's the best business you can start. And a lot of people say, well, I see people doing chickens, or I see people, you know, opening a small little shop. I mean, look, that's your business. But I will tell you, as a coach who's trained thousands of entrepreneurs, I can proudly say that, thousands of entrepreneurs over my last 30 plus years in this space. I can tell you with absolute certainty that the best business that can ever take off for yourself is the business connected to your purpose. So you want that kind of business. I know people copy, you can go see somebody do chickens and copy that. But many times your objective will be money, not service. So the quality of what you come up with and even your capacity to have the resilience to stay running is really minimized. Why? Because of the pressure that comes with trying to work just for money. Money is a result. Money is not an end in its true sense. Although yes, we receive money for services or products rendered, but I'll be honest with you. If you start off doing business with money as the end game, yeah, you will be like a statistic, I assure you, because you won't have the resilience to keep going. Why? Because Murphy's Law declares, even though I don't agree with it, but it's a real law. It declares that if things can go wrong, they will. Now, my opposite to that is always if things can go right, they will. But the truth of the matter is that you're dealing with entropy, you're dealing with the law of chaos. So the chances of things not working out are guaranteed. Take that to the bank. Things are going to go wrong. So when they go wrong, it's the purpose that will drive you to keep going. It's your passion for seeing this thing manifest that will keep you going. So if you make the mistake of doing it because it's about money, then you're going to say, this thing doesn't work. So you won't have the passion because you're not doing this because you love it. You're not doing this because it's a labor of love. You're not doing this because you're passionate about seeing this change happen. You'll be doing it because you just want to make money. And that will not work. And there are so many businesses that fail. Statistically, 9 out of 10 new businesses fail in the first year of registration. First year of operation. 9 out of 10 fail. And for those that go on, another 9 out of 10 will fail in a 5-year stretch. So in short, over a 5-year stretch, 99 out of 100 businesses fail. Now deal with that statistic first. That's a huge statistic, my friend. And that's the reality of what happens. So that's why you see so many businesses don't take off. Because and major, most times if you examine, you will discover most of these businesses are doing business because their major goal is to make money. There is no real passion to see this business really take off. So there's no true purpose for starting. So let's look at what exactly purpose is. How do you tie that into starting your business? Well, I always ask people, if you want to know what your purpose is, there are these 3 questions that tend to really hit home. Number 1, what is it that comes naturally to you? What is it that you find so easy to do that you don't have to struggle to do it? It just is easy to do. Number 1. Now, and number 2, just on that, what talents, gifts, and abilities do you possess? Remember, the thing you find easy to do tends to be your talent. So let's go a bit deeper. What is your talent? What is your gift? What are your abilities? What is it that you're able to do without struggle? Okay, so what's your talents and what are your gifts? Number 3, what is it that when you do gives you so much pleasure, like you derive great sense of satisfaction when you do it? Beyond just the money or reward, just the fact that you've done it and done it well, you get that sense of reward. And number 4, what is it that gets you so pissed off or so annoyed or so worked up about in your neighborhood, in your community, in your social circles? What is it that when you see, you say, we need to do something about that, that thing, that. So what are those 4 things? Now, when you take those 4 things and do a deep assessment, you'll find that within that is a service. Within that is a product. Because when you take whatever it is that you take, when you take these 4, put them together, you will find there's a product or service. Then you look within your community to see who would need this product or service. And most important, how then do I make this product or service marketable? So that's where in the Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I was just worried. Okay.
Oh, no, network. I didn't realize my other network went off. I was on the other network. So thank you, Doc, for holding it up. So this is where the issue, back to my point. So this is where the issue of validation comes in, ladies and gentlemen. Validation is this purpose, is this product or service wanted? Who would want this product? That's validation. Okay, who would want this product? So you've got the startup where you're coming up with everything, but the validation is who would want this product and how do I get it to the public? So remember, if this product or service is tied to your gifts, your abilities, your talents and the passions, then it will be fueled by that. Please remember that part, my friends. The passion comes from purpose. When you're manifesting purpose, these are things you will do, and whether they pay you or they don't pay you, you'll do it anyway because you feel so satisfied when you see it done. That's what purpose is, or the execution of purpose. So remember, the highest reason for purpose is to serve. The highest reason for purpose is to serve. What is purpose? The reason why something exists. So in validation, we're saying, how do we take this service? How do we take this thing we do and then sell it to the public? So your ability to make this valuable is what validation is. So in bootstrapping, once you have the start of the business in terms of an idea, the second aspect is going to be, how do I validate this to the public? So this is where value proposition comes in. Hello, somebody. If you remember when we're doing the branding lessons, we spoke about what value are you exposing to the public? What is it that when people see, they value? And I need you to understand something else very profound. Value is perceived. I'm going to say that again. Value is perceived. So the truth is, yes, this bottle of Vaseline has a real valuable product, but the issue here is the perception. You've got Vaseline and you've got Fuevene petroleum jelly, right? And what you notice is Fuevene petroleum jelly will be cheaper than the Vaseline. But a lot of people will still come and buy the Vaseline rather than the Fuevene petroleum jelly. Although, truth be told, Fuevene petroleum jelly and Vaseline petroleum jelly have the same content. It's petroleum jelly. And really, petroleum jelly is an oil byproduct. It's a byproduct from oil when they are, processing crude oil, because you get all these various products, including petrol, diesel, whatever, oil, different oils for cars and grease, and somewhere down that chain, you also have petroleum jelly. So petroleum jelly is petroleum jelly. That's what it is. But why do people pay more for Vaseline? Because of the perceived brand. The value proposition from Vaseline is higher than the value proposition from Fuevene petroleum jelly. So what you need to understand then is that when you go out into the marketplace with your you aim for validation, you must remember that what you propose as a value to the market will determine what people will be willing to pay. Like I tell you, for example, both we are coaches. We do this coaching thing. We are paid according to the market's perception of us. But truth be told, there are coaches out there who are probably better than us, but nobody knows them. So because nobody knows them, well, people will not pay them what they are worth, because there is a certain level of basic value that we attain, and most of that we get from school, we get it from our lessons, university, whatever. Once we get that degree, everything else that makes you sought after has to do with your value proposition. How much do you take what you are and then take it to the next level? That's what really differentiates one from the other. So for example, Dr. Phil is a psychologist. So is Dr. Jordan Peterson. I assure you, there are thousands, if not millions, of other psychologists who are probably better than these two guys. But Dr. Jordan Peterson charges thousands of dollars per session. Whereas an ordinary psychologist in America will be charging probably $300 per session, which is their standard over there. If we come over here in Zambia, standard, well, you could go to Chinama and get free psychological evaluation, which will not cost you anything because it will come under the free hospital thing under NEMA or something. But most consultants, doctor consultancies are charging somewhere between 350 to 500 kwacha. Then when you go to the slightly more reputable psychological clinics, you will find Renaissance and they will charge you 750 or thereabout. Dr. Ravi will charge you 750. But I can tell you there are people in the market right now who are charging higher than that, charging double that figure, and people are paying. But you remember that there's also free psych evaluations you could probably get from some of the well-established churches in the realm of mental health. So these are all about value proposition. It's about what value do you push to the public based on your gift and ability. And this is where in validation, testimonials become very powerful. If you get clients who use your product or service and are very happy with it, guess what? Word of mouth, that's the number one most powerful method of marketing. They will go out there and refer their friends to the service. So you realize very quickly that if you are creating a good value proposition, and I keep stressing, this is all perception based. Perception based. So if you create good value proposition, people are willing to pay for it. People will pay even more. The other one I like to use as an example is a handbag. When you get to $500 for a handbag, I assure you the quality of that handbag is absolutely brilliant. And what you discover at that level, the difference between a $500 handbag and the $5,000 handbag is just the label and where you buy it from. That's it. So where did you buy the handbag from? Which shop? On what high street? In what city? Get it? I'm telling you, because yeah, a $50 handbag, definitely. You know, you cannot compare a $50 handbag to a $500 handbag. There will be a difference in terms of the quality. But what's interesting is from 500 to 5,000, there is no difference. You take your 500 handbag right now, dollar handbag, and then get a Louis Vuitton, you know, $5,000 handbag bought on, you know, or bought on Hollywood Boulevard, you know, with all those high-end shops. You buy that handbag, take the two, and then put them side by side and start checking the quality of each one. No difference. So this is where I'm saying, my dear brothers and sisters watching by this platform, that validation is huge and perception is everything. Everything. I cannot say this enough. When you're a startup, the perception is going to be, who is it? Who's there? What's the product? How powerful is the product? So the value proposition becomes something you push throughout the lifetime of your business. So remember, 1 year to break even, 3 years to become sustainable. So meaning for many times you're talking about minimum 5 years before you really get to a place where indeed your business now can kick butt. Okay, it can kick butt. Now, let me take this opportunity to tell you some differences about business. There are basically 4 levels of business. At the very beginning of business is what we call self-employed. So self-employed is where you have some kind of skill or some kind of service you offer, and people pay you directly as you execute it. So you could be a plumber, you could be an electrician, you could be a hairdresser, you could be a makeup artist. That's self-employed. And in that situation, what are you doing? Could be a photographer. You are taking this service that somebody would employ you for, but then you're doing it for yourself. So you're self-employed. That's the entry level of business. Many times there is a direct exchange between service and money. There's a direct exchange. I call it lizard money, you know, reciprocal. So I work, you pay. You know, I work, you pay. You know, I deliver, you pay. So that's the thing going on at that level. It's a It's a nice level because you own your time, you own everything, but you're still pretty much bound to money and work. And if you don't work, you're broken. You'll be sick and dead. So you have to always be working. So that's the first level. You are the business in every sense of the word. Then the second level is what we call a professional. So just beyond this comes professional. Now, professional is where you have doctors, lawyers, and consultants like us. Everyone on this our platform is a consultant. So we are at the professional level. Now, professionals will tend to hire people and use tools and services. So they're a bit higher than the self-employed, because the self-employed is literally going and physically doing everything themselves, but the professional usually has people going to them, and so they're much higher, but they're still not too different from the self-employed. The only difference is they got more kick and more class, but really they're not different from this guy. But these ones can employ entire groups of people around them as a professional. But the thing is, they are still the heart of the business. So take them away, the business crumbles. Now, the next level beyond this is what we call the business owner. Now, business owner is where really things start kicking, because business owner means now you own an actual business. You have different units operating in that business. What do I mean by units? You've got accounting, you've got HR, you've got logistics and the like, admin, and then production and whatever. So this thing is now quite a sizable business. Many times you find that business owners will have businesses that have between 10 to 30 people. So that's a business owner, but they can go higher. But generally, that's the number, because the professional tends to hire between 1 to 10. That's the professionals. Self-employed, they don't hire anybody. They subcontract, but they don't hire anybody. It's themselves. So that's where the differences really start to come in. So you notice that with the business owner, they literally own an entity that's working, and many times, if they are able to do it well, they can then employ a CEO or a managing director or a general manager or a lead consultant, whatever it is, and this thing can really run. And many times with business owners, they can get to a point where they can literally pull away from the business and the business can run on. And then you have the entrepreneur. So I've heard people calling themselves entrepreneurs, and I just smile because I know they are not. An entrepreneur is basically someone that has multiple enterprises. So in other words, they're a business owner, but they have created multiple enterprises. So for example, on this call, SBM is an entrepreneur. Why? Because she has SBM group of companies, you see? So that means it's not one company. Now there are several. SBM Printing, you got the What's New Boutique, she's got the Mindset Change Program and all its issues. She's got, so she's got quite a number of enterprises that she's running. So a number of people in our country are entrepreneurs, because you find they own multiple businesses that are literally running with their own set of products and services. That's an entrepreneur. So many times, it doesn't mean when you start as a self-employed person, you're not going to become an entrepreneur. Many entrepreneurs began as self-employed, but they went from self-employed to either professional or business owner, depending on the kind of product or service they're selling. And then from there, once that business expanded and grew, they then created a group of companies because of the size of how they grew things. So that, my friends, brings us to the end. I just wanted to give you a bit of a start on bootstrapping. We're going to go very, very deep into bootstrapping in our next session. I will be showing you how you optimize. So in other words, we'll go deeper into startups, talk about what starting up is and how it works, and then go into all these other things. So we optimize after validating, and so that's what we'll be looking at next week. But I just hope that you were able to learn a thing or two concerning what exactly bootstrapping is. So remember, my takeaway from this presentation today: if you can help it, do not borrow to start. Look for resources around you and utilize those. In my next program, I will really delve deep just to show you what resources you have available and how you can take advantage of them. And so from ourselves, we'll catch you tomorrow when you have Dr. Sunshine doing her thing here on our platform. God bless. Have a great day.